From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy. The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
It's the holiday season. So hoop-dee-doo.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, it's National Signing Day. It's a day where you have to get it right. Florida State unlikely to have that fortune, so what's it mean for the future? Running backs, Gus Malzahn, a beautiful marriage. Let's discuss. And it's time! Let's give away an absolute marvel of engineering. Time for the grand prize drawing for the generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code Corey Clark, please.
warchantbogo.
What are you waiting for, everybody? Buy one, get one free when you use the promo code warchantbogo at vitaminenergy.com. Applies to the 8-hour sleep if you want to go to sleep, but you're waking up with us right now. So you want to stay vibrant, fresh. Do it with Vitamin Energy. One little bottle, not even 2 ounces. Take it wherever you go. Man, I've got them in my backpack, my gym bag, center console. It's just a good thing, Corey, just to know that when I'm on fumes, I'm tired, and I'm a little bit bleary, weary-eyed or whatever. Is bleary? Is that a word?
It is, yeah. Yeah, bleary-eyed. You did it.
Yeah, there we go. It's like, all right, man, I can lift up my console. It's there for me. I can go to my gym bag. It's there for me. I go to my backpack if I'm staying out of town, at the parents' house, what have you, and it's all there. One bottle. 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine. Again, all-natural caffeine, everybody. It's not the dehydrated stuff that's then made into a powder, and then it's super concentrated, and it just zaps you all at once and makes you feel weird. It's going to give you that gradual 7 hours of energy. No sugar crash. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code WarChampBogo. Cyber Monday doesn't matter. Black Friday doesn't matter. Warchant BOGO. It's there for you every single day. Can't miss. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. No promo code there. I think the silly season promo's over, though, everybody. So you didn't get part of that $150 deal, $1 for a week, 50% of an annual membership. I mean, you got to look in the mirror sometimes, everybody. Well, you got to take accountability. You have to take accountability for missing out on that. Missing out on Corey Clark's great columns, great work, always over at warchant.com. What's up, Corey Clark? How are you, my friend?
I'm living the dream, buddy. How are you doing? Happy National Signing Day.
Yeah, man.
Not quite the luster it used to have. I get it.
I mean, it's not even because who's on the board for Florida State, which, by the way, shout out to our guy Tariq Mallory, who committed on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Keep up my days. It's
Former
Wednesday.
West Virginia commit, right?
Yeah, that's
Aslan?
right.
Yep.
Big-bodied young man.
6'5". Yep.
That's right. 6'8" wingspan, according to his Twitter bio.
Okay.
Also,
all right.
all business inquiries are to go to magicmallory@gmail.com.
Okay, good.
Just helping our guy out.
So they've got a 6'7" kid in tow and a 6'5" kid in tow.
That's right.
All right. Okay, that's something. I would like some 5'11" kids that can really move in the middle of the field, too.
Okay.
Give me some of them.
Can we get another year out of Ja'Kai?
I don't think so. But Jalen Lucas, get another year out of him.
Yeah. Jalen Brown, too. What happened to Jalen Brown?
I mean, I saw him on the field for a couple of plays.
Was he?
I will say this. I would be –
Which, hey, by the way, sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
I really am. I'm interrupting you, but I am sorry to do it. But I know I'll forget about it. My mind's not wired like yours. I ask because I was watching the game from the East Side Suites. Shout out to one of our listeners, Tim, who gifted me tickets for me and my lady, so I was able to watch the Florida State-Florida game in all of its gross glory and great comfort.
Yeah,
So
good.
didn't have my binoculars, didn't have you or Ira to lean on, didn't have the TV broadcast to lean on, so I was kind of flying blind for a lot of that game, but that was a good thing. Who really wants to see and remember all that? But I'm sorry. Yeah, Jalen Brown, what's going on with him?
I was going to ask if it looked better from that side of the field.
No, because the ref's got his back to you. Like, you feel
right.
very second-rate citizen. Like, he's going to have his back turned to me when he calls for penalties. Also, it was crazy to look and see, whatever, like 60% of those West Side stands under construction and not filled in. It was bizarre.
Yes. We don't get that view, do we, from the press box?
No, we don't.
But it is National Signing Day. They're going to have a couple of big receivers apparently in tow. And look, with Malzahn, I said this on headlines. Like I'm genuinely interested, assuming they're here, what Lucas and Mekhi Danzy what he can do with them. Mm-hmm. Can he unleash them at all? I mean, those aren't normal type athletes. There's not a lot of defenses that have dudes that can keep up with that kind of speed and quickness and shiftiness. It'll be interesting to see if Malzahn can make something out of those two guys, assuming they're, Danzy is back and Lucas is back and they're both healthy. But real quick, Aslan, I just thought of this while we were starting the show. I wanted to look back because it's essentially like the 10-year anniversary of the 2015 Florida State recruiting class.
Okay.
It is the 10-year anniversary. We're not in 2025 yet, but it's that, they don't have a real national signing day in February anymore. This is the class of 2025. And I wanted to look back at the class of 2015 because, they were coming off a 29-game winning streak. They were, I don't even think, arguably, they were the best program in the United States. And I was wondering, okay, who did they sign? Who did they piggyback off that success to sign? And I'm just going to read the names really quickly. There are some really good ones. A couple. Abdul Bello. I'm just going in alphabetical order. Okay. Calvin Bruton. George Campbell. 5-star George Campbell. DeAndre Francois. Ethan Frith.
Love you, Ethan. Mississippi stand up.
Derwin James.
Decent.
Pretty good one. Yeah. DeAndre Johnson, quarterback. Shamar Kilby Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Lewis. Tavares McFadden, 2-year starter.
We liked Marcus Lewis for a minute, didn't we?
I loved him. I thought he was going to be really good. I loved the way he looked in the spring game. I liked the way he played when he got in as a freshman, but, didn't work out. Cole Minshew, Naquan Murray, Jaquez Patrick, Devontae Phillips, Lorenzo Phillips, David Robbins.
Who's Lorenzo Phillips?
He was a linebacker from Patterson, Louisiana. I think a JUCO maybe? Yeah, JUCO linebacker. David Robbins, an offensive lineman from Maryland.
Sweet Prince.
Josh Sweat.
Yes, decent.
Who, still in the league, didn't do a whole lot at Florida State, but that he was injured and he started.
He's wealthy. He's very wealthy.
Yes. Auden Tate.
My man.
Darvin Taylor. A.J. Westbrook, who stuck around and had, I think, a pretty good senior season, and Jalen Wilkerson. So, Auden Tate, you would say, was a hit. He did start at wide receiver. He caught some touchdowns. Josh Sweat is a hit, although he didn't maybe live up to, consensus 5-star status. But he's in the league now for his 8th year, so he's doing all right. Would you say Naquan Murray, Nooney?
Yeah.
He had a nice career. He caught the touchdowns in the Michigan game. Yeah. Tavares McFadden started for a couple years, had one good year in whenever that was, 16, I guess. Derwin, and then that's it. So, you would have liked that class to have ended up being better than it was. And the point being, it's hard to recruit. There's nobody that appreciates Jimbo's ability to evaluate. Well, more than nobody appreciates it more than Aslan.
Correct.
But I'm close. He flooded this program with really good players at all different types of positions. But that was the recruiting class coming off being a 29-game winning streak in a national championship and a Heisman, and they were about to have 10 guys drafted. They're going to have 29 guys drafted in 3 years, which at that time was a national record. And that was the class they came up with. I think that's 2 guys. Auden Tate, I guess, played in the league. So 3 out of 20 made it to the league. 6 probably started. Not a great hit rate. It's really hard. So thank heavens for the portal, everyone. Who cares what happens today, because it is a crapshoot.
Oh, man. Yeah, it is. And I don't know how much of reflect. I wanted to create some big narrative about, the decline of Florida State under Bobby Bowden. It was the 2003 recruiting class, because you still had some level of traction based off, 2000, 2001, and 2002.
Well, and the 02 class had a bunch of big-time guys in it, and so did 01, right?
Yeah. But
02 was wasn't 02 the Leon Booker, Buster Davis? Yeah.
Deshaun Platt.
Yeah,
my guy.
True. Yeah, Chris Davis, C.C. Davis.
Yeah. 2003.
2003 was Cromartie and Ernie Sims.
Yeah.
And not a whole lot else. And Cromartie and Ernie Sims happened to be the 2 best players in the country, and they were in your hometown. Yeah. And it wasn't it wasn't a certainty that you got either one of them. And other than that, that was like the time that was not a great recruiting class coming on the heels of what they had been doing.
How many more years, Corey, before you think we can like definitively pinpoint the rise and fall of empires based on high school recruiting rankings, or will the portal forever make it a really tough sort of ask to figure that out? Because listen, I'm not this live by the portal, die by the portal guy. You're going to have to keep using the portal for the foreseeable future. I mean, you're going to have to a very large degree. I don't know at what point Florida State gets to being Texas or Georgia, to where you just cherry pick and get 4 or 5 guys that you fill in a gap here or there on your roster.
Yeah.
But it feels like for the foreseeable future, Florida State is going to have to continue to go in the portal and quote unquote chase after guys. Will there be a point where we'll think that really is a definitive thing? Like, that's for sure you have to continue. Is Florida State proof of it, that you have to recruit at a high level in high school to be a successful program and not just a team that you roll out once or every 2 or 3 years and you have success?
I don't know, man. I don't know that I can really guess intelligently on it, because the earth shifts beneath our feet every 5 months in this sport. I don't know. 2 years ago, I told you it doesn't matter. Just keep loading up on mature kids that you know are better, that you know can play, as opposed to taking a chance on these high school kids, especially when you're trying to divvy up money and who gets what. I think, and the reason I say it, the earth keeps shifting, is because, pretty soon apparently we're going to essentially have a salary cap. How does that change it? Like, won't schools, if everything is on the up and up, and I know that's an enormous if, it's a laughable if, actually, when it comes to college athletics, but everybody is spending the same amount of money, or everybody at the big schools is spending the same amount of money. I feel like, I think there would be a shift where you're going to save your money for returning guys and portal guys. In high school kids, it just doesn't seem to be smart. It's not a good ROI to pay money for guys that might be good in college when you need money for guys are good in college. Like, you just heard that list of guys I named. Think about what George Campbell would have been paid as a 5-star, big, tall, athletic wide receiver. And, and then you talk about, like, the guys that weren't nearly as highly thought of that ended up being awesome and are still playing in the league from other schools. Like, George Campbell would have gotten more money than them coming out of high school. I feel like they would have been like, well, that's dumb. We're not going to do that. I think that might be another shift that comes, is the high school kids are going to start having to earn their money again, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But don't you think you save your money now for retention and portal? And the high school kids go, and you tell them, like, look, we'll give you something, but prove that you can play at this level, and then we'll do everything we can to keep you. So I don't know, man. Yes, I think you need to have really good high school recruiting classes. I don't know how much the money will come into to play when it comes to landing those types of kids and then keeping them.
Yeah, the keeping part is probably the key aspect of it, because, listen,
well, get them on campus first. Well, I think they're not getting them on campus to be here.
No.
Your best chance to have them contribute in your program is to get them on campus and enrolled in class.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to do first. But then, I don't know if you certainly don't want to do that hoping to be good in a couple of years. Not when you're coming off 2-10, but not really in reality anyway.
I mean, I understand, like, the context of it, where we see a lot of people talking about they're going to have to overpay for player XYZ or position XYZ. And when they say that they're going to have to overpay for players at that position, it's implied that it is the portal. But, I mean, why can't it be high school? I mean, are we not seeing just this past year who they went and got in the portal? They're not necessarily automatic slam dunks to be better than kids from high school. I wonder how much of that can we open the door to that, or do we need to not be prisoners of the moment and realize, like, listen, man, a kid that's 21 years old, that's played football for 3 years, even at a group of 5 program or an FCS program, we have a better idea of what he's going to be than Jim Burns from whatever high school that's a 5-star.
Yeah. And it was certainly will probably be more ready to help right away.
Yeah.
Like, you could have gotten the best defensive end in the country. I don't know that. Let's say you got
they almost did Kyle Kennard, but he was a portal guy.
Yeah, he's a portal guy. I'm saying, like, the best high school defensive end in the country. I don't know who he was. I don't know who the number 3 defensive end in the country was. They weren't going to be as good as Jared Verse. They just weren't, even though Jared Verse was coming from flipping Albany. Or, for that matter, they probably wouldn't have. They probably would have contributed on the same level as Lola Hea or Marvin Jones. Yeah. But that's not a level that you want to pay a guy $250,000. That's not the production you want to pay for that. Now, I'm not saying Marvin and Lola Hea were hits, but at least I don't know that you could even expect a true freshman at defensive end to play those kind of snaps. In fact, I don't think you could have. So I think there's a balance there, and I think it comes down to it's like the NFL, man. Like, you don't pay Travis Hunter isn't going to make as much money in year one as Patrick Surtain, the junior, second. The guy for the Broncos, who just signed a huge contract, is considered the best corner in the country, or Jalen Ramsey. Let's use a Florida State guy. Because Jalen Ramsey's proven it. And they have these rookie scales. Well, the rookie scales are good for NFL. You don't get the was it one of the cars? Who was the quarterback? Oh, it was Sam Bradford. Got that crazy rookie contract, right?
Yeah.
And then the NFL was like, why are we doing this? This doesn't make any sense. And the Players Association, too. Like, guys were losing jobs that were 6-year veterans because they had to pay a rookie quarterback that ended up not being any good. And so they're like, well, let's make it fair. There's only so much you can earn as a rookie, really your first couple of years, until you prove it. It's the same in the NBA. Those second contracts are what everybody is aiming for. That's where the money is, those second contracts. It's what Scotty Barnes just signed. It's what Devin Vassell signed. These guys want to get to their second contract because that's the real money. It's not the salary cap, low ceiling money that and I say low ceiling, guys, trust me, I know. It's still millions upon millions of dollars. But now go look at those guys' bank account. I think college might be the same way, right? Like, I think you would be like, not that there would be a universal salary cap for true freshmen, but I feel like if I'm running Florida State or any big-time program, I'm like, yeah, we're going to put a cap on how much we're going to give these commitments. And then as they matriculate in the program and get better and older and more productive, we raise the level of what we're going to pay them. And I think that'll happen a lot. I think, obviously, the guys that have proven it should get more. The Patrick Surtains, he should be paid. The Jalen Ramsey should be paid more than Travis Hunter next year. Jalen Ramsey has proven he's an all-pro corner. Travis Hunter has proven he's a really good college football player. But if you're the Green Bay Packers, or the Dolphins, I guess, you'd rather pay that money to Jalen Ramsey than give $20 million a year to Travis Hunter, because he might suck. Odds are he won't, but he might. So I think that's how you got to attack running a college football program, too, if there is sort of even if there isn't, but that's how I would attack it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it'd be cool if they standardized it to where, like, this is the whatever, because of the House settlement, whatever, everyone's going to have $20 million for all their athletics. I think Ira said on headlines, last week, probably 16 to 18 of that's going to go to football.
Yeah.
It'd be maybe kind of cool if they're like, all right, listen, if that money, X percent goes to true freshmen, X percent goes to players who have 1 year of collegiate varsity experience. But, but also it's going to make it, let's see what these GMs, these front offices, these colleges have now.
Yeah.
Go earn your keep. You figure it out. You figure out.
Yeah. Exactly right. But I think there should be escalators in these contracts too. Okay, this is what you get as a freshman. If you're here as a sophomore, this is what you get. You could put incentives in there. I don't care. It's a business now, right? But I do think that's got to be something. Because, again, I know Michigan paid an outlandish sum of money for that quarterback. By the way, Michigan just fired their offensive coordinator / quarterback coach, so we'll see how that goes. But they paid whatever the word on the street was, $13 million, $15 million. Great. They won't – theoretically, they won't be able to do that next year. Or they could. They're not going to have anybody to play around the kid. And I know he's not getting that per year, but I think it's for 4 years maybe, or however long he's there. But still, you're talking about $3 to $4 million a year for one player. And the kid, you're going to pay that kid. Let's just say he's getting $4 million as a freshman. He might suck. He just might not be any good. And then you've just spent $4 million for no reason. Or you could go spend $4 million on, let's say, if Dylan Gabriel was available. And he's not, because he's been in college since the 90s, I think. But if he was available, wouldn't you rather spend $4 million on that than $4 million on an incoming freshman? So I just think those are the decisions that will continue to be made. And we're talking about this because it is signing day today. And look, at the 11th hour, Florida State could decide, you know what, we're throwing bags at all these kids. Great. You could have a top 10 recruiting class. Number one, it doesn't mean they're not going to help. Most of them will not help you win a single football game next year. And on top of that, you don't know if they'll be here in 2026. So go do it. That's fine. You do need to build. You do need to hope they get on campus and stay on campus, but there's no guarantee. You're just throwing money at, because I just think guys want to go play at Georgia. The money's great. That's fine. Sure. They want to go get to the NFL. I think that's their overriding goal, is to get to the NFL and play for championships and play in front of packed stadiums in college for their 3 years that they're hoping they're in college. And that's, you'd like Florida State to get back to there as quickly as possible so they do become more enticing to high school kids. And maybe with Malzahn and
Tony White.
Good grief. I about called him Adams again. Actually, I was about to call him Lewis. Tony Lewis. I don't even know who that is. Maybe they'll be more appealing to young players to come play for. Young players to come play with.
It is funny you mentioned, I don't know, who the number 3 defensive lineman high school wise was this past season, but he was not going to be as good as Jared Verse. It's Dylan Stewart, actually, who's at South Carolina and wreaking havoc. He's already got 6.5 sacks this season, 9.5 TFLs. He's graded out at 80.1 on the season. He started every game but the first 2 of the year, 48 total pressures. Number 2 defensive edge player from the 24 class is Colin Simmons out of Duncanville, which is the high school that Jalen Early went to. He's been tearing it up for Texas. He's got 27 pressures. He's graded out at 83.4 this year, 7 sacks.
What about like number 5 or 6?
No, can't change it like that, Corey. It doesn't work like that.
Well, no, because I think those guys, those guys are. When I said, you're right. Those are better.
Listen, Josh Kando was one of those guys, and he did not materialize. So I get it.
You also thought Marvin was going to be something like that.
Yes, I put him number 1 in my preseason top 40. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you thought Marvin, and I don't mean you. I mean we.
Yes.
The Royal you thought that Marvin was going to give you those kind of numbers. I don't think that's typical for guys that big-time freshman defensive ends to have that kind of impact, but these guys are obviously future NFL pros, probably future NFL first-round picks. Maybe Florida State isn't quite fishing from that pond, or was last year. Maybe they'll start fishing from it again, but then you start going down to, okay, we can't get one of the top 3 defensive ends in the country for whatever reason, this reason or that reason, but we can get the number 8 guy. Okay, well, how did he do? Is he better than Lolahea for this year only? Is he going to help us more than Lolahea? So it becomes, and I'm not saying that the Lolahea Marvin Jones tact was the right one to take. Clearly it wasn't. You'd like to have some guys in your program right now that showed some promise that were good. I just don't know that when there's a finite amount of money to spend, that you go spend it for someone that's going to get 20% of the snaps, maybe. And I think that's what they thought they would get with a true freshman defensive end like that. But, I mean, the reality is they could go get a 5-star defensive end tomorrow. But that, you got to be smart. Today, you're right. You got to be smart with the money, and you got to hope they maybe you can entice them next year.
Yeah. You can always be enticed to get off the sofa and hang out with good friends if they're going to be hanging out at a cool establishment like the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website. Full menu display over on the website. You already know about the Corey rap, though, so what's to deliberate over?
Oh, hey, while we're doing this, I'm glad I was scared I wasn't going to remember this. Friday night, I'm almost positive they're having live music, but it's also the 18th. It's the 18th anniversary of Corner Pocket opening.
Ooh,
reach year 18. It's getting vote now. Corner Pocket's old enough to vote. It's been open for they're celebrating their 18th anniversary on Friday night, and everybody's welcome to attend.
Will all the prices be what they were in 2006?
I'll ask Bill that. I'm going to say no, but I'll ask Bill that. I wonder what the difference is. What was a gallon of gas back in 2006? Like 45 cents? I don't remember.
Probably was more than that.
Yeah, it was probably $3, $2.50.
Average price was $2.59. Look at that.
There you go.
Look at that. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Trivia was yesterday. We missed you, everybody. Should have been there. Thursday, bingo makes its triumphant return. Make it out for that. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's all going down. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Let's give away a freaking Cummins generator right after this. Folks, there will be a time and a point where this podcast might have to be video all the time. Not sure we've reached that point, but Corey, I'm sorry I'm going to have to do this to you. I'm going to have to go ahead and just put you on full screen. He's got no facial hair, and I don't know what to feel about it.
Sorry, but I know it's weird to look at. It's weird for me to look at.
Dude, you look like you're 34, man.
I look like I'm 19. Are you crazy? You nuts? I go pick up my son at high school today. They asked me why I'm not in class. Anyway, sorry. Folks. But yes, I'm going to grow it back. I don't like it. But we're not here for that, Aslan.
No. So, hey, a few years ago, we talked about on the podcast, if you wanted to partner up with us, reach out to me, send me an email. We can maybe partner up and help your brand out. And we got an email from an executive over at Cummins, which is a company that's on the New York Stock Exchange. I think the stock's like close to $300. They're a Florida State alum. They like listening to the show. They love Warchant. They love Florida State. They decided to sponsor the Warchant Report, which we do every single game day week. And we ended up doing some stuff on the podcast. We call it Generating Discussion. We do the Renegade Express mailbag. We decided to showcase the best question each single week in a video format like this, where we'd also playfully, we would crank on the generator. And we did this in April every single week, Corey. And we've got, I don't even know, man. I'm not good at math, but we've got a whole bunch of names on this wheel. And as part of this, we were going to showcase the absolute best questions each single week. And then at the end of the year, we were going to put all these weekly winners into a grand prize drawing for a free Cummins portable generator or portable power station. It's like the Rolls Royce of power generation on the go. So I don't know. Without further ado, Corey, I guess I just want to do this real quick, though. All the names are here in chronological order of how they were when they won, Corey. But I can go ahead and hit shuffle. And I'm going to hit shuffle again.
Okay.
So no one thinks there's any kind of impropriety going on. I love all of you equally.
Hit shuffle one more time.
Okay.
Now we're real. Okay, now we're good.
All right. So a Merry Christmas to all, but I guess one of these people are going to feel a little bit more merry than the rest. So without further ado, Corey, let's go ahead and let's spin the wheel. It looks so beautiful with like more than just four names.
Man, that's crazy how many names there are. Ooh.
The winner is
Southernmost Seminole. I'm assuming that means Key West.
It is.
Feel bad for Jamaica, Noel, man. That was you couldn't be any closer. Southernmost, you should split it with them.
Southernmost won back in August 16th, rather.
I was going to say, we haven't been doing that this long.
When emotions were sky high about this program. Right. Hope you find some solace this holiday season with your Cummins portable generator, portable power station. I've got the PS1000, the portable power station. I cannot say enough good things about it, but a portable generator is probably a really cool thing to do as well. It's your choice, Southernmost Seminole. So thanks for playing. Thanks to everybody who got involved every single week in the Renegade Express mailbag. We might take a break on doing mailbags for maybe a month or so, but we'll still be in the mix, reading the forums, taking your folks' questions. So we appreciate it.
I'd love to know what his question was from August.
I don't have.
No, I'm not saying like for the next show. It'd be interesting to know what I'm not putting you on the spot. I bet it was something like, would a 9-win season be a disappointment or something like that? They were like, yeah, maybe, yeah. And then they went 2-10.
I tell you, they're one of the questions, and I don't want to say I'm glad they didn't win, but one of the questions, as I went back and audited everything, was a question about if the offense could be better this year than last year because the offense was sluggish towards the second half of last year. Yeah. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, Corey, what do you think? And you're like, yeah, I can't go down that bridge yet. You said yet. Your heart was open to maybe the offense.
It was because that offensive line was supposed to be great.
It was. It was not. Cummins, though, again, global power leader. All we ask, follow them on Instagram, Cummins Lifestyle. Not asking to spend a single red cent, and I get it, man. Your money, it's hard-earned. You do with it what you will. But if you could just give them a follow on Instagram, that would be super awesome. We appreciate our great friends over at Cummins. Let's get back to talking Florida State football. Corey, I want to get to your hypothetical, not so hypothetical, about what it looks like with Jalen Lucas, Mekhi Danzy, and the Gus offense. I am curious, too, because just pulling things up here real quick, these are like his leading running backs when he was at Auburn. Peyton Barber, 5'11", 225. Cam Petway, 6 foot even, 235. Cameron Artis-Payne, 5'11", 210. Kerryon Johnson, 6 foot, 212. Cam Martin, 5'10", 189. So there's your outlier possibly. Jatarvius Whitlow, 6 foot, 210. Tank Bigsby, 6 foot, 208. He did have Sean Shivers, who gave some contributions before heading out to Indiana. Like, I think he had like 350, maybe a season kind of change of pace guy. He was 5'7", 189. But he did not have nearly the level of production that the guys ahead of him did. So I am curious to what happens. I like those guys. I don't want to see anybody leave. I want everybody to make the best decisions for their future. Hopefully that aligns with Florida State being successful. But if I had to guess, I think one of those guys might feel that this might not be the most conducive to their skill set. But who knows? Maybe Gus has got some tricks up his sleeve. But yeah, he's had, those bowling ball with butcher blades hanging out of him, whatever.
I wonder, though, and I'm not saying this to, like, counter your point.
No, do it. That's what these shows are all about. Debate. Embrace debate, brother.
But I certainly didn't. I wasn't expecting Jalen Lucas to be a feature back in any offense. That's not what he is. He's a change-up. A change of pace, I guess. More like a fastball, really. But that's what I wonder in Gus's offense, not having studied them a lot, what the second running back looks like. Like, he's going to have a dude that gets the majority of the carries. But does he feature, and I don't think Mekhi Danzy necessarily is going to be a guy that gets 20 carries a game, although he probably could get to, I would guess he could get to around 200 pounds. He seems to have a pretty big frame. But I wonder about, like, the number two guys. Like the change-up backs, like you bombard them with 215 and 220 and 225, these big kids, and then, once every 7 carries, you bring in this just sprinter, and what that looks like. And I don't know if he's ever had the second guy that's more of the, like I said, like the Jalen Lucas type. I know I wasn't expecting him to have like that. Either one of them would be the feature back, but I think there's a role. I think there's a role for a guy that can get 8 to 10 carries or touches, not carries necessarily, that have that kind of speed.
I feel like I don't disagree with that, but I think the Mike Norvell offense, whatever that is, I think probably would be more conducive to being that change of pace kind of guy. Shivers was there. He had 62 carries versus Tank Bigsby's 138. That was the final season. The Gus was on the Plains.
So 2-1, about a 2-1. But how big was Shivers?
Shivers was, what did I say? He was 5'9", 170 or something like that.
Oh, so he's the Lucas guy. Did he have good numbers? Probably not. If he left after that year.
Yeah, it was 62 carries for 276. He averaged 4.5 a clip. Bigsby averaged 6 yards a clip. DJ Williams, remember DJ Williams?
I do. Yeah.
He was like the number 3 guy on that totem pole that season.
Okay, all right.
So. But yeah, he's typically leaned on like that one big body guy, and his number 2 guys. DJ Williams is like kind of the number 2 dude in 2019 out there. But yeah, it was like Whitlow, Williams, and Martin. Those guys are all a little bit bigger stature guys. But yeah, not saying that you're just going to pound it away. You're going to give 80% of the carries to one of these guys. But I like the idea of them finding. I think Louisiana Monroe had a rusher that put them their name in the portal on Tuesday. Had over 1,300 yards. They were top 5 in the country. Like, I want that kind of production. And I think if you're Jalen Lucas, or Mekhi Danzy, maybe, you can be happy with, as long as it's defined and maybe not as erratic as for whatever the Mike Norvell offense is. And there's these purported opportunities to make plays because it's an offense for playmakers. There wasn't any kind of rhyme or reason, it felt like, to personnel groupings and bringing guys in and out of these games. So I think, if anything, maybe at least Gus would have a more cohesive approach or plan where he can look at those guys and be like, no, you're not going to get 95 carries. But yes, you're going to get, 45 touches, and 25 of those are going to be designed to absolutely break you out into space and be an absolute game-breaking chunk play. How does that sound? And I think if you're Lucas or Dan's, you're like, that's good. I can do that.
So not knowing anything about this kid at all, but just looking at his stats and looking at his size, UCF the last 5 years actually has had a running back named Johnny Richardson. He's not R.J. Harvey. R.J. Harvey's the guy that ran for, I think, 1,500 yards last year. Yeah. But Johnny Richardson in 2021, the year that Malzahn got there, ran 104 times for 733 yards. So 7 yards per carry. He's 5'7", 175.
There we go.
The next year, 54 for 370, so a 6.9 yard average. The year before that, or the year after that, so last year, 87 for 573. So 6.6 yards per carry. And then this year he only got 25 carries. He must have gotten hurt. But he was also somebody coming out of the backfield. Had 25 catches one year, 22 catches another year. That's what I'm talking about. That's a change-up. Johnny Richardson was not R.J. Harvey. R.J. Harvey was the guy that got 25 carries a game. This guy would get, if I do the math, 6 carries a game. But he'd make them count. Yeah. And it's a nice change-up to have, and that's what I think he does like those guys, clearly. The only two we've looked up, one you said was 170-something pounds. This kid's 5'7", 175. That's like a clone of Jalen Lucas. I think he will find a role for them, but I wonder, Aslan, I do think that there is a feature back out there that he might be bringing in. I don't know if a feature back is on this team right now. I do not think you could just shove all in with Cam Davis.
Agreed.
I do not think Gus Malzahn will shove all in with Cam Davis.
Yeah. And to the point about him distributing the ball, I do think that there will be that bell cow back, but I also think whatever his change of pace guys, I think it's going to be a much condensed bench. I think he's like, I just need 3 guys. I need my nail, my hammer, all in one, and then give me some of these toys. When you think about it, if Roydell doesn't get hurt, Roydell played against Florida. Like, he was part of whatever plan they had for that game. Toafili's out there. Roydell's out there. Danzy's out there. Cam Davis is out there. I think Holmes is the only one that didn't get in. Just that sometimes it's just too many yes. Cooks in a kitchen. Like,
and you don't you love though that Malzahn is like, I don't care. I'm riding my guy.
Yes,
if you want to get on the field, be better than him.
Like a guy like C.J. Baxter. If Gus Malzahn was here 2 years ago, you might have been able to get a guy like C.J. Baxter. I think he goes to Texas because he looks at this backfield, the way it's used, and he's like, I'll go to Texas because Sark's just going to feed me the ball 25 times. And unfortunately, the poor kid got hurt early this season. But yeah, to your point, I know people are all about whatever we call it, game load management. I think the right kind of running back that wants to run for Gus Malzahn, that'll be successful for Gus Malzahn, is like, doesn't know what that means. Is like, give me the ball. I want the ball. I want to make a difference. I want to help my team. And I think he'll get somebody that fits that bill for sure.
Yeah, like we said, on yesterday's show, he said he's coached he's been an OC for 19 years. He's had 17 1,000-yard rushers. This year, he had a guy that ran for 1,577 yards. And the year before, the same guy ran for 1,416 yards. 38 touchdowns combined the last 2 years. Well, 43 if you count receiving. Yeah, so, he also had 39 catches the last 2 years. R.J. Harvey was the best football player on their team the last 2 years. And R.J. Harvey got to touch the ball a ton. It just makes sense. It's what he did with Heisman pose in the what's his name? The kid that posed for the Heisman in the championship
Trey Mason.
game. Yeah, at the end of the year, he was giving that kid 35 carries a game. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, and it worked. Like, that's it. And I think, I know you want to keep kids happy to a point, but you're past that. I do think – and I also think players respect that. If you're sitting behind somebody that's an R.J. Harvey or Trey Mason, you understand, okay, yeah, I'm not as good as him yet. So, yes, he should get the majority of the carries. And if you're mad about it, I don't care. Yeah. Gus Malzahn has been doing this long enough and is old enough to be like, yeah, man, I don't care. It's not just okay because it's Series 3, even though my starting running back has 11 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown. That doesn't mean it's now your turn to get in the game. I got my guy that I like, and he's really good, and they can't tackle him. And then you think back to, and I guess it worked. Maybe they should have done it all year. That first drive against Georgia Tech, which was their best drive of the year. 4 different running backs touched the ball? Like, Malzahn ain't doing that.
No.
Might have been 5. I don't know. Lawrence Toafili would have had 18 carries a game. At Florida State this year, Lawrence Toafili averaged probably 7 or 8 carries a game, which is outrageous when you think about it. He was by far your best skill player. Keziah Holmes not getting in the game at all is just bizarre. But, yeah, so I more than anything, I trust that Malzahn will identify the guys that will be good and then ride them. As long as they don't get hurt, ride them. Like he did the guy 1,577 yards, man. R.J. Harvey rushed for more than the entire Florida State offense by like 300 yards. So yeah, that's it would be nice. It would be nice to have output like that from one of your running backs.
Let's be vulnerable, everybody. I'm going to tell you a secret. It's Aslan, by the way. I stopped wearing deodorant one day during the pandemic, and then one day became a week, which became a month, which became a year, and then it became years. But I'm fine now, everybody. I do wear deodorant. I don't wear what I used to wear, though, which was antiperspirant deodorant, because, first off, I would still perspire. You're supposed to perspire, but it's a normal bodily function. It's okay. But it wouldn't stop me from sweating. It ruined all my shirts. And then the scent was so overwhelming, and then trying to wash it off of you was just like a chore that I didn't like doing. So that's why I'm excited about Mando. They sent me a bunch of stuff a week ago. I've been using it now for like the last week, and it's great. It says it lasts for 72 hours. I can't attest to that, everybody, because I shower every single day. But I put it on in the morning. I go to the practice, and I sweat. Then I go to the gym, and I sweat. Then I come home and I record a podcast for you folks. I sweat really bad doing the podcast. It's really weird. I don't know. I'm nervous. I want to do a really good job for you folks. And I smell fantastic. And it's a subtle scent that doesn't feel like chemicals and artificial. It just feels kind of, I don't know, real almost. So I'm going to tell you folks to go check it out yourselves. Go to shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT. And you'll get $5 off your starter pack. That's 40% off, I'm told, if you do the math. So go to shopmando.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT. You can control body odor anywhere with Mando, but I'm just doing it under the pits for right now. I'll keep you posted. This might be out of date by the time you listen to it, so I kind of am a little bit hesitant to even go down the road. But, you know, when we talked about Tony White on the show yesterday, we didn't talk really at all about apparently his favoritism to bring guys with him from Nebraska to Florida State, namely Terrence Knighton. Played for the Jags, if I'm not mistaken, for several years in the league.
Yeah,
and
played in the Super Bowl too. Played in with the Broncos in a Super Bowl. I think one they lost.
What's his name? Like, he's got a cool nickname.
Pot Roast.
Pot Roast. That's right, man. There was a guy in Mississippi that was our guest speaker at one of our banquets for our TV show that we did for high school. Floyd Womack, known to most people as Floyd Pork Chop.
Pork Chop, that's
Womack.
A good one.
Yeah. Pot Roast, Pork Chop, good names. But what that would mean for Odell, and I don't know exactly what it means for Odell. His future might be clarified here by the time you folks are listening to this. But again, we got to remember that there's unlimited on-field coaches. So
correct.
You don't necessarily need to tell people to hit the road if you bring some other people in. I want to spin it because I did see this on the Tribal Council, and I think it's a kind of a good thing, although this guy sometimes gets on my nerves, but it's all right. Who doesn't get on my nerves? Whose nerves do I not get on is the more accurate thing here. But D-Coach 76 postulates that the reason we haven't heard about terminations of other coaches because a lot of coaches in the past have done this, Corey, where it's like they make the guys hang on through signing day, and then once signing day passes, then it's like, all right, now we're going to go ahead and start making some changes. Do you think that's maybe why things have been a little bit mum? Not so much on new guys coming in, but at least current coaches maybe not being retained.
I
have any theories?
No, I don't think that's no, I don't have a theory, but I don't think that would be accurate just because what would be the point of that now? Like, do you think that, like, is there anybody in the fold because of Papuchis?
Yeah.
Or Surtain or Odell? Like, I don't – and then you're going to pull out the rug for – and also, I don't even think they signed – do they sign letters of intent?
It's not binding, right? Yeah.
Do they matter?
Yeah,
no.
True.
They immediately could be like back 10 years ago, if you signed the NLI, you're beholden that you're there for a year. Well, now they can just be like, nah, man, no, you told me Odell was going to be my coach, and he isn't. I'm in the portal. That could I don't even know if it'd count as in the portal if you haven't gotten on campus yet. So no, I don't think that would be a play. And also, I think I don't know why the announcements haven't been made of guys that are leaving. I think it's more honestly announcements of guys being hired, because we will find out. I think personally that we will find out when a position coach has been let go when his replacement is being named. That to me anyway, that's what I think might happen. And maybe just that the T's are not being crossed yet. The I's have not been dotted. But I don't think it's because of National Signing Day, because I just don't think
to your point, these coaches did not betray you, so you don't necessarily need to bury them, right? Like you can announce we've got a new linebackers coach without saying that we've terminated so-and-so. Yeah, but I do wonder if they announce that Terrence Knighton is the new defensive line coach, I wonder if that implies that maybe Odell is not here. But again, we don't know the stats on Knighton. Apparently on Tuesday he was involved in coaches' meetings. He was still in Lincoln, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, but I don't think it's – again, I wouldn't think that they're holding off on firing coaches officially until after National Signing Day, because I just don't think it works like that anymore. I think, a kid can leave no matter what. And also, I don't think any of those guys have a ton of sway. Like, oh, what, he left? What? I don't think that's a possibility. I don't think that's really a reality. I don't have a theory as to why they haven't named more guys. I don't think Norvell is dragging guys along. You know what I mean? I think these coaches know for sure whether they're going to be here or not. And Malzahn and White. have made their decisions on which coaches they're probably retaining and which they aren't and which haven't, and I think that's been communicated. I don't think they're going to wait until, we got the facts. Odell, see ya.
Right.
I don't think it works like that. Not anymore.
Thoughts on Ryan Fitzgerald being named second team All-ACC, Corey?
Who was first team?
No Florida State players on the first team, by the way. Criminal. Absolutely criminal.
Mastromano?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Never mind. Take it back.
Come on, man.
Take it back.
Who was first team kicker?
Borregales down in Miami.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
16 of 17. He missed one, though. Fitzgerald was perfect, according to most, if you don't count that Duke game, which they didn't.
Yeah.
Shout out to Duke.
No,
I wonder what kind of relationship Florida State SIDs have with Duke, where it's like, hey, man, can you let's look at that one through a different prism?
It was a bad operation. Yeah. That doesn't count as a miss. He was kicking a sideways football. Yeah. That's on Mastromano. That's why I wouldn't vote him first team All-ACC. It's a terrible hold. Come on. How cool would it be if he was the Ray Guy? He won the Ray Guy Award and then was the holder for the Groza Award winner.
Nice.
That's a first, right?
Yeah, that's on a Trivial Pursuit card.
Yeah, that's got to be a first. What a two-sport star there, two-position star.
What happened to the backup? What happened to the backup quarterback holding the ball? Is that just how different practices are now? That if you're the second team quarterback, you're like engrossed in practice and taking reps. Even the third string quarterback, that you cannot be bothered with going out there and holding the ball for the kicker.
It is crazy. Wasn't there a quarterback recently that was Stetson Bennett the holder for Georgia? I feel like there was a quarterback.
Corey, come on. I'll look it up.
But I don't. It doesn't happen at all anymore. They don't really have quarterbacks as holders. And back in our day, Joe Theismann used to be the holder. When the Redskins were kicking, they were the Redskins back then, so that's why I called them that.
2022, it looks like he was the holder.
Stetson Bennett?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a national championship quarterback, but he's still the holder. A two-time national championship quarterback, old Stets dog. I don't know why that happened. But I do think, going back to Fitzgerald, look, man, this is what happens when you're awful. It just is what happens. He only got 13 chances. That's not his fault. He was perfect. But he only got 13 chances. None of his kicks were really all that important in the grand scheme of things because they lost them anyway. In the two games they won, they didn't need field goals. I'm sure the Borealis kid kicked more important field goals, I would think, in closer games.
Did he kick a field goal against Cal?
I thought wasn't it the score 14-9?
Oh yeah, sorry.
So I think I think he went a month without attempting a field goal because of this godforsaken offense we had to watch. Couldn't even get across midfield to give him a chance. But yeah, I mean, he had 13 makes and like 5 or 6 of them were over 50, including a 59-yarder. He still got a chance to win it, and it would be funny if he won the Groza and wasn't even first team All-ACC. And it's not like Borregales was 29 out of 30. I mean, he only made 3 more kicks than Fitzgerald, so that seems a little odd. It's just, When you're terrible, you don't get to win a lot of awards, and you don't get to complain when you don't. They did get it right with the punter, at least. Azareye'h Thomas being honorable mention corner seems pretty laughable to me. But then again, you went 2-10, man. When you go 2-10, you don't get to get on a lot of all conference teams.
When you Google FSU Cal ESPN, it takes you to the box score, and the video playing is just the absolute dime DJ drops in the bucket there. What, Cal? Look at those fans.
Going crazy.
Nuts.
Going crazy.
Going absolutely crazy indeed. All right. I did want to ask you about this, Corey, as part of your column. You keep talking about the brand. Azareye'h can thank the brand for maybe still being considered for all-conference honors, being on a 2-10 football team that didn't have a really great defense. Have you been concerned? Is that, you look at things, I think, you still have some of that fandom in you that's been just totally evaporated out of my soul. And by getting guys like Gus, you pull a guy like Tony White that was in the mix for head coaching jobs. It shows that, this brand, this program, this school, this institution still matters to a lot of important, talented people in the industry. I've never been that concerned that it was going to go away because it's just, Bobby's always forever going to be tied to this program. There's the 3 national titles. There's the 3 Heisman Trophy winners. There's the litany of Pro Football Hall of Famers. And I know, some other programs can say they have similar accolades, but, maybe they don't have the cachet and the weight still that Florida State does have. I've never been worried that Florida State is going to lose any of their juice out there, at least when it comes to grown-ups. I know what's going on. Listen, 18-year-old kids, 16-year-old kids, yeah, it might seem like, the dynasty is long far gone, which shout out to somebody on the boards that posted basically since 2000 in that Oklahoma game. Like 30% of the seasons have been 7 or less wins, which,
oh, really?
It's bizarre. It's bizarre. But how, I guess, how much of these hires I don't know, was that a concern of yours going into the future? Is that Florida State, with all the uncertainty around them, that maybe the brand has been damaged, they wouldn't even be able to get good coordinators, and the fact they got these 2 guys just reaffirms just how solid the brand currently and still forever always will be. And some might even say, dare I say, it's not even rated.
Iconic.
An iconic brand.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
That's fine. It was my fault. It went away on me.
I look at Florida State kind of like, there's been down years for North Carolina basketball. A few of them. There was one where they went like 8-20 with Matt Doherty, and there's been other ones where they've struggled to get to like a 9 seed in the tournament or blah, blah, blah. They've lost 12 or 14 games. And I kind of view I bet North Carolina basketball fans can be a kind of hand-wringing bunch. Like, golly, Hubert's not the guy. He's just not the guy. Or this guy doesn't belong. Or we're going down fast. We're not UConn. Or we're not even Duke. Or we're not – NC State went to the Final Four last year, which I forgot about. I think NC State was in the Final Four last year.
Yeah.
There could be some hand-wringing. And I think when you're that insulated and you're that solely focused on your own program, like all Florida State fans are, the good ones anyway, I get it. You're mired in this, and all you care about is your program, and you see all the warts, and there are a lot to see when you go 2-10. I think there's a perspective that a lot of us don't have. That it's like, man, go outside and ask somebody in Arkansas. Just an Arkansas football fan about Florida State football. Even during a 2-10 season, they realize what that brand means. And I don't like to say the word brand, but I'm saying it here. What Florida State football is. It is one of the juggernauts. Brand. There you go. It is a juggernaut. It is a superpower. And it has been now for 35 years. I mean, they've in the last, 45 years, they've had 22 10-win seasons or 23. They've had 3 different coaches. Go 13-0 or win 13 games. I can't imagine there's another program in the country that's done that. Maybe Oregon, but not many. This is a unique place that has a lot to offer. That even during down years and even during this tumultuous decade, and it has been tumultuous, it still matters. It still matters in the sport, and it's still attractive. Like, so when you go 2-10 and you're losing all your recruits, and the guys you do have are like 3- and 4-star guys or 3-star recruits, there's a lot of talk like, that it's going down a bad path, and 2-10 is certainly a bad path. My point and contention has always been it's still Florida State, man. Just like it's still North Carolina basketball. You go when Hubert Davis goes and sits in at a gym to watch a showcase. Those kids know that's North Carolina basketball. That still matters. Florida State is the equivalent, in my opinion, is the equivalent of North Carolina basketball. It's not storied because it wasn't winning championships in the 50s, but the last 40 years it's meant as much to college football as North Carolina has to college basketball. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes because we're so stuck in the day-to-day that we can't take the 10,000-foot view and realize, okay, Florida State had to get it right. They had to get a couple of coordinators. Well, they got a Big 12 head coach that has offensive resume, a track record that's better than literally. I'm not saying he's as good as you can get. His track record is about as good as you could get. And then you go and get a DC from a Big Ten school, a good Big Ten school that cares about football and has been very good at defense the last 2 years. I think that just tells you, yeah, man, the brand still matters. Florida State is still considered either a launch pad for an assistant coach to be a head coach or a great destination job. It is not the equivalent of Missouri. It is not the equivalent of Vanderbilt or Arkansas or Mississippi flipping State. It's Florida State, man. It's one of the big boys. And you hear, and we feed into it too a little bit with like, oh, look at Florida. They're going to do this, and everybody wants to go play with Lagway. All right, man. Florida hasn't won a championship of any kind in 16 years. So let's not fool ourselves, man. Florida State is still Florida State. Florida State just went undefeated last year. And Florida State will be good again. And Florida State is still very attractive to assistant coaches all over the country and will be attractive to portal guys. They just will. It's Florida State. It sucks you're coming off a 2-10 season. But if North Carolina goes 11-20 this year in basketball, I don't doubt that they will still be able to get top-notch talent and top-notch assistant coaches next year because it's still North Carolina basketball. And Florida State, I feel, is the same way. That should have been my column.
Yeah.
Could you just transcribe that? And
I'm almost done.
I'll just write that every day. You almost done? Good.
Yeah.
You were hacking while I was doing that, right? Good.
It was Mr. Non Sequitur who posted, want to give them their recognition. Yeah, 24 seasons, 5 losing seasons, 4, 7, and 6 seasons. So, 9 out of 20. So, more than a third.
You talking about Oklahoma?
Yeah, after the Oklahoma game, after the Oklahoma season.
What do you mean after the Oklahoma season?
Well, when we lost to them.
Oh, after the championship game. Got it, yeah.
So, the last 24
But also,
years,
how many 10-win seasons? 7?
9 double-digit win seasons.
Yeah, that's 9 double-digit win seasons, a national championship.
7 ACC championships.
Come on, man. And we are in an era of college football now. I saw this tweet, and it's a good tweet, about Nick Saban. That Nick Saban kind of he made the bar so high that we don't. He muddled the reality of this sport. There aren't going to be that anymore. Maybe Kirby at Georgia, but Georgia has 2 losses. Might about to have a third, and it needed 8 overtimes to beat 7-5 Georgia Tech. We are in a period now that will never go back. It is all parity, and there won't be dynastic runs. There just won't be anymore. Maybe Ohio State is the surest thing because they're always going to win 10 games, it seems like, and they're always going to be in contention, but I don't know if that's true. Seems like it has been for a decade and a half now, but I don't know if that's going to continue to be true. But by and large, there is going to be some fluctuation and some back and forth with all these teams. What's so crazy about this year is it's never supposed to be this wild. The fluctuation should not be to the point where you're 2-10. But there will be some, even if Norvell ends up getting this thing turned around and they win the national championship 2 years from now. There's a chance the next year they win 7 or 6, just like they did at Michigan. Just like the 49ers this year, man. They were awesome last year. They were, 30 seconds away from winning the Super Bowl, and now they're 5-8. That's what college football is going to become. It doesn't need to be this wild with the opposite ends of the spectrum, but that will be the reality. It's hard to win. It's going to continue to be hard to win. and moving forward. But Florida State is up there with like an Oklahoma, right? Who's the better program since that game? Florida State, I would think, right? Or close. You could make an argument either way. Yeah, Florida State's had a couple of bad years in there, but, Oklahoma.
FSU 91 did the work. Hasn't updated this year, though, but Florida State had the 14th highest winning percentage of teams from 2001 to 2023. Oklahoma, number 2.
So, but again, I don't want to say this. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to paint it as like Florida State plays in the SEC. But, come on. It's the Big 12, Aslan. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? It's the Big 12. It's the Big 12. But they had a really good coach, right?
Yeah.
They had a really good coach with Stoops.
We always had him.
And good coaches matter. But, I don't know what their record has been in the last 10 years. I would think Florida State's probably more on an even footing there. But 2-10 is such a crazy outlier that it's going to screw up.
Lincoln was doing all right out there in Norman.
Yeah, and he was. He lit up all those Big 12 defenses, but then couldn't stop anybody when they played in the bowl games. But, yeah. But I would say if you went around the country and said, name the top 10 football programs in America over the last quarter century or 40 years. Yeah, I mean, Florida State, Oklahoma, Georgia, Penn State, Alabama,
13th,
Ohio State,
number 1,
Florida. That's it. Like you're in that group. USC maybe, but that's not true. But USC had that great run 20 years ago, but they haven't been great. But you know what I mean? Like their name still matters. Florida State's name still matters, and that won't go away. And I think that was just proven with these 2 coordinator hires. Now they need to prove it by getting themselves a very good offensive line. Finally, please. For the first time since 13, and then get themselves a quarterback if he's not already on the roster.
All right, we'll do a wrap-up show of signing day and maybe some other official stuff, hopefully coaching-wise, that might have happened between the time we did this show and by the time we all reconvene. So be on the lookout for that. All the recruiting stuff you need is all over the YouTube page, all over warchant.com. That's the paywall. That's where you got to go to get all the good stuff. But you got 2 options. You also have what's there on YouTube. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Press conference, 4:30. So be on the lookout. Maybe like 5 o'clock, we'll have that video uploaded. Yeah. It's what's an off season?
There ain't one, man. And so, we got National Signing Day today. Everybody get excited. Pop the champagne. We get to talk to Norvell today, so we get to ask them about the coordinators and ask them about the position coaches. And, then we move right on into portal season.
That's right. He's Corey Malzahn. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.